Shannon, you're up first. Does Dak Prescott have any excuses to not get to the Super Bowl?
He hasn't had one. The Cowboys have had one excuse why they haven't gotten to the Super Bowl in the last 3 to 4 years. It's Dak Prescott. You go back and look at it. Tell me that Dak played well enough last year in San Francisco to win that game. Tell me he played the year before, he played well enough in his own building to win those games. He's been the reason. They gave up 9. I mean, how many points do you think? 10? You want them to hold the team to 7? Dak hasn't played well. And they still don't want to blame Dak because what did they do? They fired Kellen Moore. Right. They said, if Kellen Moore, it was your fault because you called that bull jive play at the end of the game. Remember that last play? They put Zeke at center and he snapped the ball. They say that was the reason that we lost this game. So they have been unwilling to place any blame at Dak Prescott's feet. Right. Because they keep blaming everyone else except Dak, even though he plays some of his worst ball in the biggest moments. So the excuse, they've never been an excuse. You look at what every year, Jerry and Steven, this team reminds me a lot of those Super Bowl winning teams. They remind me a lot. I like what we got. I like what we got. And then every time come playoff time, right on cue, I expect Dak to play small, and he has. So they haven't had an excuse to not make the Super Bowl, at least the NFC Championship game, in a very long time, other than Dak's play.
Molly, what happened last night?
I don't know. What happened was...
What happened last night to those Giants?
Listen, we paid our quarterback a lot of money, and we've been complaining about this O-line since Eli Manning was there.
I took the Giants to win that game. I'm so stupid.
Did you?
So stupid.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what? It's because I let an old agent friend of mine talk me into a little something. Okay. Dak has no more excuses. But I said this last year as well. To your point, Shannon, to put into context what Dallas is right now, in the last 35 games with Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator, they got 70 takeaways. You know how easy it is to play quarterback when you got a defense taking the ball away like that? Yesterday, their defense's special teams scored 2 touchdowns. That was more than 10 teams did in the NFL. So I think the question is going to come down to this. So there's 2 games I want to watch this team play because we're going to come in here, we're going to talk about Dallas. We're going to say their defense is great. Micah Parsons has got a legitimate chance to win MVP if we don't give it to a quarterback because they play quarterback. I want to see this team play against Detroit. I want to see this team play against Green Bay because those are the 2 offensive lines that I think can somewhat handle their defensive line because their defensive line is so good. And Micah Parsons, many people say LT. I wasn't around as an adult watching LT, so I'm not going to comment on that. When it comes to the 3 elite NFC teams, San Francisco, Dallas, and Philly, where does Dak fall in line with those 3 quarterbacks? Like, who do you, because they're all going to be in the playoffs, we think, and they're probably going to be the 1, 2, 3 seeds.
My options again?
Brock Purdy,
Jalen Hurts,
and Dak Prescott. Who do you trust? Today, it's week 1, today in the playoffs to get it done. I honestly think I would go 1, Jalen.
2, Purdy.
2, Brock. 3, Dak Prescott. When it comes to I need you to go make the play, the difference between us beating San Francisco after we give up 20 points or 17 points and not. And right now, and that'll be the storyline for the whole season until it happens, what guy do we trust the most to make that play in the biggest moment? It's Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, and Dak.
You know, one of the things that makes it very, very difficult for me talking about the Cowboys. Number one, I'm always right. It's been 27 consecutive years. It's going on 28. Not only do I tell you that they're going to lose, I tell you when, and I tell you how. And the thing about it is that the only thing that has ever really depressed me is when they lose early. Because when you lose early, right, we know your season's over.
Right.
It's not as fun.
Right.
It's not as fun to watch their hopes get.
You like to build expectations.
That's right. I like to build expectations.
Break hearts.
No. I like to do it because I know the Cowboy fans are going to have that anyway.
Yes.
They're going to know it. It's like literally, I'm talking about actors in Hollywood to professional athletes to the common Joe and Sue out there, whoever you want to call it. It's like literally, look at us, look at what we gonna do. This is what I'm talking about. This is the year, They didn't even wait until you actually played somebody instead of Barkley and a bag of chips. They didn't even wait. All of a sudden they're talking about this and they're acting like,
that's a good win. The Giants will be a good
but
team
let me explain.
So?
They're acting.
Yeah.
Let me finish. They're acting like it's such a surprise. Look at what the Cowboys defense has done. Who didn't look at the Cowboys defense and know how lethal these brothers are? With Parsons, with Lawrence, with Diggs, and then you get Stephon Gilmore. The defense, there's nothing surprising about the defense.
Stephen A., I'll push back on that.
Hold on for 1 second. All I'm saying to you is this, my brother. All I'm saying is this. At the end of the day, I don't give a damn what you tell me about the Dallas Cowboys. If you omit one thing, everything else you say is irrelevant. It comes down to Dak. There is no escaping it. So all I'm saying to everybody is, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. That's all. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's all it requires.
You say you got
it
pushback.
will happen.
I think the difference in Dallas's defense this year is there's really not a personal flaw. Like last year, we could go run the football right at Dallas, or we could throw opposite Trayvon. The addition of Steph and the addition of Mozzie Smith, I do think elevates this defense. And I only think there's two offensive lines that I feel comfortable thinking they can handle them. And it's Detroit and it's Green Bay.
You don't like the 49ers?
I don't think their offensive line can handle them. I think Kyle Shanahan and the way that they kind of scheme things up, attack man coverage gives them a chance, absolutely. But when it comes to, because I think like to really handle, and you played against some elite edge guys. Mm-hmm. I think the only way to handle Micah Parsons is like you got to turn it into a fist fight and you got to go run right at him and double team and see if you can bring the physicality over 4 quarters, and it's got to play. You got to be super efficient. The only two offensive lines that I think can do that are Detroit and Green Bay. This defense is off the charts good, but they were off the charts good last year, except for one area. You could go opposite Trayvon. Steph being there is a big deal.
In his hands, you need to be more than good. Dak's not supposed to be good. Dak's supposed to be elite. When we talk about the top quarterbacks, the Mahomes and those guys, we're supposed to mention Dak. We got to get 9, 10, 11 guys down before we bring Dak into the conversation.
Totally agree.
And that's not how it's supposed to be.
100%
Can I just
agree.
piggyback on that $40 million per year? Because there are 5 quarterbacks this year that got paid $40 million per year.
Of
3 of them lost yesterday. Burrow,
Burrow's going to be fine.
Herbert lost, and obviously
Herbert
Danny
scored
Dimes.
34.
Can we go to the Philly side of things, though?
Yeah.
I'm just concerned. So, a close one, right?
Yep. Should have lost.
Was the Eagles' performance concerning to you?
Heck yeah. Should have lost. I'm going to give some grace because the weather. The rain was terrible. It was a torrential downpour. Yeah. I think offensively, it's the first game in maybe a long time I've saw both of their offensive tackles got beat. They got handled by New England's defense. I think if you're Philly, you're sitting there going, Mailata and Lane Johnson, they'll be okay. First game of the year, whatever. We haven't played together a ton. I think the more concerning thing, overall offensively, they got into the red zone one time. They averaged 18 yards per drive on offense. That stinks. Yeah. 18 yards per drive on offense stinks. Their pass game was outplayed by Mac Jones in New England by far. Defensively, they are outgained by 131 yards. Mac Jones looked like Mac Jones' rookie year, Mac Jones at Alabama versus that defense. They gave up 200 yards after the catch. We talk about their defense, 5 new starters, Georgia, and this was my concern. You got 5 new starters, 4 cats that were drafted from the same school, and everyone thinks all 4 of them are going to be really good. I've never seen that in the NFL.
Right.
So that's like if you're Philadelphia and you watched San Francisco dump truck Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Dump truck them. Yeah. And then you watched Dallas dominate New York. Absolutely, I'd be concerned. I'm not like, it's week 1, but our defense did not play well.
But that's why they lost the Super Bowl. It's because their defense let them down. Because Mahomes got the ball, and every time he got the ball, he either got into the end zone or he got to get a field goal. And then they couldn't get the ball back at the end of the ball game. So that was the reason. And I've said that the Achilles heel of this team is their defense. They're not as dominant as people would like them to be. When I think of dominant defenses, I look at the 49ers. I look at the Cowboys. But their offense, because they run the ball so well and they neutralize, if you have a great offense, they keep the ball away from you.
Right.
Now, they didn't run the ball as well as I thought they would. Jalen Hurts had a so-so game, had a bad turnover, and they did a great job. Coach Belichick normally does a great job with running quarterbacks of keeping him in the pocket and making them throw the football. Well, you're trying to throw the football in that inclement weather yesterday wasn't ideal. But I agree with you. Philly, I'm not, like I said, I don't want to put a whole lot of emphasis one way or another on one game. But you could look at some teams and says, okay, they look really, really good. The 49ers, and like I said, I don't know what Pittsburgh might, Mike Tomlin normally doesn't have a losing season. But the 49ers look really good on both sides of the football. I thought Dallas looked good, opening the second half. They get the ball and they go right down the field.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay, now. Because like you said, when you get spotted 14 points in this league, it's a lot easier to play offense when you and them on the field and you're like, oh, we up 7. Oh, we up 14.
Right.
And that's what happened with the Cowboys yesterday against them sorry, no good for nothing men.
That was rude. That was unnecessary.
Listen, with the Eagles, should we be concerned? Sure. But we should be concerned because of one stat and one stat above all else. 1 for 9, sacked 3 times when pressured. That was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I understand it was inclement weather.
Yeah.
I get that.
Well, you know, Mac Jones wasn't playing on a tent.
I understand that. I know that. But what I'm saying is that
He lit him up.
What I'm saying is that you're going to get pressured this year.
Yeah.
When you're going up against the better teams.
Right.
You're going to get pressured. And so, again, it was inclement weather. It could be an aberration. Or it could be a situation where you're looking at the Eagles, the secondary was compromised. You're looking at them this year. Okay, we know what you are this year. You ain't going to creep up on us like you did last year. Because you elevated yourself so much from last offseason to the regular season. The improvement was so conspicuous. You know what? You caught a lot of people by surprise. Now they got more film on you, Jalen Hurts. They might be
Hold on. You're telling me that you're more concerned with Jalen being 1 of 9 versus a really good defense in a torrential downpour than Mac Jones gutting your defense?
No. I'm talking about being concerned about Jalen Hurts because I'm disregarding the Patriots. I'm saying the Patriots going to last place anyway. I'm not paying attention to them. I'm thinking my Super Bowl aspirations because that's my pick to come out of the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm thinking about Dallas. I'm thinking about San Francisco, who I think are the 2 biggest impediments to any kind of success like that. And I'm saying I'm judging you based off of that. Jalen Hurts, you got to be ready because those boys are coming. Defensively, I'm talking about San Francisco, Dallas. They're coming. You got to be ready to handle your business. That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you this. How much do you put at the feet of they lost both of their coordinators, the OC and the DC?
I think it's a big deal, and the fact that they didn't play in the preseason together. I don't think losing to DC is as big a deal as losing the people, the players on the field. I absolutely think losing the offensive coordinator is going to take time. I'm not overly concerned about Jalen's performance yesterday. It was, again, the weather was really bad. I think New England had a great plan. They were playing pass-off cover 0, and Gonzalez showed up. I'm more concerned about Mac Jones taking a part in the middle of a defense that, and Mac Jones ain't got guys on the outside now.
No, he doesn't.
So I'm saying we're talking about San Francisco and their pass game.
It's nice to see Mac Jones get coaching as opposed to a DC and a special teams coach that's never called plays.
100%.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.